razor blade Damascus. In this box, I have 3 million, maybe, at least a lot of razor blades. Let's turn them into some Damascus. 494, 496, 498, 500. Whew! 300 millimeters of 0.6 millimeter thick blades, 500 of them. It took us almost all morning to stack these up. And the thing is, we actually don't know what steel these are made from. What is very cool is these razor blades were made in Sheffield, England. Super cool because I think that would make for a really interesting tour to learn how they mass produce these things. And extra cool because we got these razor blades while we were visiting Wesley Richards, learning about leather bag making. This is from their leather workshop. So not only were they made in England, they were used in England to make awesome English leather work. That's so cool. Gonna break out the TIG welder and we're going to do a little fusion TIG down either side so it all stays in one piece. And then we'll proceed to break it into multiple pieces to make a billet that is not quite so long, but is much more, less length, more
girth.
There we go. Foot of razor blades tacked together. Now we're gonna chop it into thirds, and I think this little arrangement will be quite interesting. A triangle of razor blades. Oh. Well, definitely made a good steel. I'll just use an angle grinder. That's pretty cool.
So how are you going to make a triangular box?
Can't do a triangular box.
What do you mean?
But we don't have triangular dies, so a square box.
Right, hang on. So you're telling me that you're making a triangular billet and putting it in a square box?
Yes.
That's a bit of a gimmick, isn't it?
How?
What? Right, hang on. So you're saying if you bought a bar of Toblerone and it turned up in a box, you'd be happy with that?
Yeah, but if you took a picture of a bar of Toblerone and it had a frame around the outside, you'd go, that's normal, that's a bar of Toblerone in a frame.
Oh, you're really clutching at the straws there. All right, just you carry on breaking the law then.
Breaking the law?
I hope you've got a good lawyer. I don't think you're looking at this from the right angle.
I am. There's actually 4 right angles in the way that I'm looking at this.
There's a reason why they call it trigonometry, because you can consider me triggered.
I wondered where that was going.
Sorry, it just makes me want to throw up at my mouth.
First up, I'm going to TIG weld this to the plate. Okay, that's a cool shot.
It's also highly illegal.
What is? Oh, you're still on your triangle thing. So, I'm going to fill the space up with steel powder. We're going to use our 15N20 equivalent steel powder. But we actually don't know what alloy these are made out of. You know what we do know? We do know they're made by a company called OX. SK2 steel. High carbon Japanese industrial standard JIS tool steel. Whoa! 1 to 1.3% carbon. That's some high carbon. We've got to see the chemical composition here, because if it's got nickel in it, we can't use this as the contrast. It looks like basically a plain carbon steel with about 1% carbon. Kind of like 1095 or 01, which means we should be safe with our 15N20 nickel alloyed powder. And so, here we go. Lumineck, it's heavy! Ugh, it's a big boy! Bloody hell! See how she looks? Oh, that's quite milky, isn't it? The last thing I had in here for like 12 hours. Ooh, that's pretty cool. You can definitely see razor blades. I like it. We're gonna go to the mill and we're going to remove about 5 kilos of material. See, this is great, guys, because I didn't have time yesterday for the paint to dry in order for me to do an easily separatable can. If I want to get this mild steel jacket off it, I have to mill it all off and go through probably an entire $100 pack of these carbide inserts. So let's go to the mill.
We're already here. It's literally there.
Oh! I like that you can still see the little cutouts in the blades. Now I'm going to cut these two, once in the middle to make it 4, tack weld it together before we go back to the forge for more forge weld. No! It's ripped apart! Ah! I haven't had a regular old Damascus failure like that in a hot minute. I think I got the end too hot, it burnt, and then didn't weld. So I think what we're looking at here is a good 3 or 4 inches of unwelded material. That's a bit of a waste. So here's what I was planning on doing with the pattern. We had arranged it in this little 4-way here with our triangles in each corner. I welded it, I then turned it up on the diagonal so that we could re-square it, turn the pattern on the 45, and it was there that it split apart. Because these forces are really hard on these weld joints. And where the weld didn't take very well, it's opened up. The plan from here is I forge it into a rectangular bar, we forge it out, and then we stack it. I'm gonna end up with a really nice, dense pattern, I hope, at least with the material that we have remaining, after our little catastrophe. That's our second weld done. Right, while that's cooling down, I want to show you what Jamie showed me he's been working on over the weekend.
I've been building out a website.
Not your own website this time.
Not my own website, no. My girlfriend's a really talented painter, and she's started selling prints of her work, but she doesn't have anywhere to sell them. So I've been putting this thing together with, of course, the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace.
I think it looks bloody awesome. And you took all these pictures as well of her paintings, right?
Yeah, I took all these photos over the weekend, super high resolution photos.
Dude, crazy.
This is called Gloomy Weather, but I prefer Atomic Kitty.
Atomic Kitty?
The really cool thing about building a website on here, though, is that you can literally just move stuff around. So, like, let's say, for example, this painting here is like a really popular one and we want to push it up. We can just swap them around.
Drag and drop, baby. Jamie's girlfriend Nilla is just super talented. These are utterly incredible, and this is another perfect example of why Squarespace is such a great place to build your website. Countless drag and drop themes sell unlimited physical or digital products. You can even sell merch by connecting with Squarespace's approved third-party fulfillment services.
Yeah, I mean, anyone within like an hour can make their own business just on Squarespace.
Pretty special. That's what it's all about. It's empowering people to get started, turning their passion and dream into a reality. So go on, guys. Please go to squarespace.com/forge. You'll get a 2-week free trial and a 10% discount with code FORGE. And go check out Jamie's girlfriend's website. Oh, that's epic. Is that not just awesome? How cool is it that you can still see the notches of the razor blades in the little corners over there? Woo! First forge welds on the new press. Yeah, baby. Ow! Once this had cooled down, it was time for me to go to the hospital to have a small surgical knife fight and lose. I went and had my double hernia surgery last week. It was delightful.
Was it really?
Well, the waking up from the general anesthetic was particularly lovely. But then once the painkillers wore off, it was hell for about 2 or 3 days. This is 8 hours after having hernia surgery. It is not as fun as it was when it was 1 hour after having hernia surgery. I'm in agony. I'm trying to slowly move around the house so that I don't heal in the shape of a folded over French fry. It has now been exactly to the hour 7 days since I was put under, and I'm back in the workshop, moving quite gingerly. We've got to get back to work and make something from this thing, carefully. What do you think, Jamie?
Well, it's already square, so why don't you just make a Rubik's Cube?
Brilliant, Jamie, thank you very much. Wasted that oxygen in asking you your opinion. Jamie, please could you help me lift the bandsaw? Oh my God, just the top, the top. Thank you, mate. Ready? Ooh! Wow! Dude! Apparently hunching over and pushing on a treadle is not recommended a week after your hernia surgery, guys. And so what are we going to make from this 500 razor blade Damascus? Nothing other than a kiradashi. What? Did I not put a disc on here? What an idiot.
There's no way that this is the best way of doing this.
No, I could have cut this out about 6 times over with an angle grinder. It's taking too long. Get this thing hardened. No big warps to speak of. To the temper. 200 degrees Celsius tempering, done. We're gonna clean this up, test its Rockwell hardness, put some nice bevels on it before we head to the edge. $56, $61, $57, $60. I think we're getting different hardness readings depending on what alloy of the Damascus steel we're touching with the Rockwell testing diamond. Remember, the steel that the razor blades is made out of is a higher carbon steel than the 0.8% carbon 15N20 equivalent powder that we use to fill in the spaces, which means that the 0.2% carbon difference is giving us a different hardness reading depending on where we touch it. Now, this is one of the things that people talk about when they talk about Damascus steel's cutting performance. One of the attributes that people would talk about is having one layer in a blade be a little bit softer than another means that as it wears, it gets little serrations and cuts that much better. I always thought that was just a whole load of baloney and a myth, but actually, knife steel nerds, Dr. Laren Thomas, he's got a YouTube video on the topic, and the results are interesting.
You've only been hand sanding for 30 seconds.
I know. Oh yes, that is going to look awesome. Yeah, baby. That pattern is so interesting. There's so many tight corners to it. Yeah, baby. That is sharp. And I have to say, that SK2 steel that the razor blades is made out of does a fabulous job in the etch. I didn't even use any coffee or bicarbonate of soda to get the extra darkness. That's straight out of the ferric chloride. How about a little bit of leather? Oh! Yes. Little leather worker's kiradashi. It could be anybody's kiradashi, but we're gonna send this to the team at the leatherworking department at Wesley Richards. Thank you guys in the comments under that video for that awesome idea. We're so grateful that they taught me how to make that bag. If you make beautiful things and you want to make money from it, please be sure to check out today's sponsor, which was Squarespace. Build your website with them. I'm very happy to be back in the workshop and getting my hands stuck in, albeit carefully. Thank you all for the kind words about the hernia surgery. I'm really disappointed I didn't ask for the offcuts from the surgeon. What they did is they took a polyester mesh about this size, and then from what I understand, basically rounded out the corners, poked a hole in my stomach, slipped one in on this side, slipped one in on the other side, and I've got these two bits of mesh holding me together, and hopefully it'll last for a long time. See you soon. Bye-bye.